Hi, this is György Balássy, and in this episode of the WinJS trick series, I'm going to show you how you can add custom buttons to your message dialogs in Metro style applications. In the last episode, we created this message dialog with a custom title, message, and the default close button. When the user clicks close, some custom code is executed that alters this text on the page. So this is the text, this is the button. When I click, the text is changed. This all is done by a single line of code that instantiates the MessageDialog class, which sits in the Windows UI pop-ups namespace, calls the showAsync function, then uses the done function of the return promise to execute some code that alters text on the page. What if you want another text on your button instead of the default close? For example, I agree. In this case, you have to slightly refactor your code because you must access the MessageDialog instance. So let me just create a variable. Let's just call it dialog and break the line here and call the showAsync function of the newly created variable. So here it is. When you have a MessageDialog instance, you can use its commands property, which implements the iList interface. So you add new items to it with the append function. So here we have dialog. Here it has the commands property. As you can see, it is of type iList, and you can use the append function to add new items to it. This is a list. All you have to know is that this list contains elements of the Windows UI pop-ups UI command class. So I created a shortcut for me to save me some typing. So Windows UI pop-ups UI command is the class. You have to instantiate here and pass the append function. So let's create an instance of the UI command class here and pass the text of the button to the constructor. In this case, I agree. Let's try it. Here we have our newly created I agree button. The default close button is gone, but when I click this button, the same event handler is executed. So this is it. You don't have to write any code to dismiss the dialog. It just works. If you need multiple buttons, just add them to the commands collection. So for example, cancel button. So here we have the I agree. Just save it cancel. Run it. Now we have the I agree and the cancel button. As you can see, one button is rendered with dark gray background. That is the so-called default button that is activated when the user presses the enter key. You can override the default button using the default command index property of the message dialog. So here we have the default command index, which expects an integer. This is a zero-based index. So if you want to specify the second button, cancel in this case, just set it to 1. So when you run your code like this, the cancel button is rendered with dark gray background, and when you click enter, the cancel button is activated. Similarly, you can specify which button is activated when the user presses the escape key using the cancel command index property. So here we have the cancel command index, which behaves just like the same way. So when we set it to 1, then the cancel is called for both enter and escape. So here we have it. I press escape, the dialog is dismissed, but the code is still executed. So how you can query which button was clicked? Because when the user clicks I agree, you have to run the code, but when the user clicks cancel, then you don't have to write your code, don't have to execute your code. A simple way is to add different event handlers to your commands in the second parameter. So the UI command constructor can accept a second parameter that is called when the user activates this command. So, for example, I agree was clicked, and here we have this cancel was clicked text. Let me slightly alter the slide here so we can see that when the user clicks I agree, the event handler of the button, the command, is executed, but also the central event handler of the showAsync function is also executed. So this is called, and this is called as well. The same happens when the user clicks on cancel. The event handler of the cancel button is called, but also the central event handler of the show-async function is called. So there's another technique, is to centralize your code in the done function and query the click button. To have this, the show-async function returns the UI command instance that was activated, and your code receives it in a function parameter. Let's just call it CMD. This CMD will be an instance of the UI command class. In this way, you can safely remove the separate handlers and use a single handler function. So this you can remove here, and you can also remove this one here, because you can query which button was clicked. We have this command instance, and because it is of type UI command, you can just use its label property to display which button was clicked. So let's just try it. Click I agree, you click I agree. Run again, click cancel, you click cancel. A more elegant solution that doesn't rely on UI text is specifying a custom data to your buttons via the third parameter of the UI command constructor. So you just don't pass a second parameter, but instead you specify a third parameter. This third parameter is called the command ID, but this name is a bit misleading because it is more like a command parameter. The command ID is of type object, so you can pass here any object you want. In this case, I will use booleans to identify the I agree button with a true and the cancel button with a false. So here we have the cancel, the second parameter is skipped, and the set parameter in this case is set to false. The command ID is available in your callback function via the ID property of the function parameter. So this CMD object has an ID property, and you can use this property in your code conditions. So for example, if you want to run some code when the user clicks on the I agree button, just query when the command.id is true. So you click I agree, or you click cancel. Here it is. Let's try it. Press escape, you click cancel, go back, click I agree, you click I agree. So this is how you can customize the message buttons in your message dialogs. Hope you have found it useful. See you next time.